All right, good morning, everybody. Hope everyone enjoyed a lovely spring weekend and ready to get back to it. Monday edition of Human Anatomy for you today. So in advance of class today, you had an assignment to read one of 3 possible papers and create a concept map about that paper. And today we're going to continue, the whole class today is focusing on this topic of healthcare disparities. We'll get back to the brain actually on Wednesday. So today's agenda looks like this. It's actually quite different from any class we've had so far this semester. We are going to work on making kind of a group concept map. And then you're going to take what's called what I'm going to call a gallery walk, where you walk around and check out other people's work and then write a reflection about that. And that's going to be the bulk of the whole class today. So roughly the first half of class, you'll be working in groups. The second half of class, you'll be working on your own and completing this reflection. Well, I asked you to bring a laptop to class today. That way you can just knock it out in class today. And then you won't have any additional work for Wednesday. So with that in mind, I just want to refresh your memory. On Friday, we were talking about healthcare disparities among people with historically excluded identities. And we looked at different ways that identities can intersect and affect healthcare outcomes. And for your assignment over the weekend specifically, you had a choice to read one of these 3 very short articles, one about healthcare for pregnant and postpartum Black women living in Oakland, one about healthcare disparities related to COVID-19, and one about access to healthcare for lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender folks. So you picked one of those 3. Just roughly, give me an outline here. How many of you, just raise your hands, picked this first one? How many of you picked this one? And how many of you picked this one? Oh, good. So it's about a third. It actually works out really well for the activity we're going to do today. Nice job, class. You guys are, this is going to go, I could tell, this is going to go great already. You guys are great. All right, so what you did for your assignment over the weekend is each of you made a concept map individually. Now, I didn't get into a ton of detail about coaching you about the concept map here. Just don't think it's not the skill that I want to teach you in class this semester. What I think is important, though, is you're just mapping out the way different ideas are interconnected. And in fact, I think it's kind of a benefit if you don't have a specific structure about how to do that, so each of you can connect those ideas in your own way, in the way that makes sense to you. So what we're going to spend time doing today in class is you're going to work with other folks that picked your article. And what you're going to do is come on down to the board. I'll turn the lights on even. It's going to be like the opposite of a dance party. There'll be lots of lights and it'll be really quiet with no music. And you're going to work up here. I'm going to call this article number 1. You guys can work over here. I'm going to call this article number 3. You guys can work over here. And I'm going to call this article here number 2. And I'll put the screen up and you guys can work in the middle. There's chalk up here. So what I'd like you to do is work with your group. There's roughly about 8 people in a group, which is a little large for group work, but we can make it work. And you're going to synthesize your concept maps. I think this is going to take roughly about 20 minutes. Work together, compare your different maps, look at the ideas, and come together as a group to draw a consensus concept map on the board. I can come around and answer questions and help out. After you do that, then we're going to do an activity where you take a step back and you look at all 3 of these maps. So the first part right now, you're just working with those folks that read the same paper as you, and you're bringing that information together, synthesizing it in a way that kind of makes sense for everybody, talking about what the major ideas were in the paper. Before we have at it, questions? All right, cool. Well, I'm going to turn this off then. And I'll put the screen up. Turn on some lights. There we go. All right, so yeah, come on down in your groups. Basically, it's going to be pretty unstructured, informal. You're going to be working together, etc., etc. I'm going to pause this recording for those of you watching because this is going to be group work, and we'll come back when we get to more class general stuff. Okay, great. Nice work, everyone. I really enjoyed hearing the different exchanges there. I feel like it was really just good way to synthesize this information. Again, I often like breaking up class, doing something different from a lecture. I think it can be a really useful way to develop understanding and work through some material. So great job, everyone. Here is you're basically going to have the rest of the class period today to kind of work on your own, or if you want to go back to your group, that's fine. And what you'll be doing is, actually, let me do this. Let me just give a couple other announcements. That way it's done and out of the way, and then you can just work, and then when you're done, you can head out. So just a couple of reminders. One is I don't have open hours today. I apologize. It's advising week to set fall schedules. Many of you know this. You're setting your schedules, meeting with your advisors, but I have a meeting with all my advisees, and I had to cancel a bunch of other things that I normally have during the week to make sure I could fit all those meetings in. As always, if you have questions, just shoot me an email. Having said that, remember in lab tomorrow, you do have a quiz. This is the quiz that was supposed to be last week on the muscles of the upper limb. So make sure you're familiar with those muscles from both the cat and the human. You can use your lab guide and let me know if you have questions. The lab room is open this afternoon. And actually, this afternoon, my herpetology class that's normally in there is not going to be in that room. We have a field trip. So if you want to use that time between 2 and 4, the room is open all afternoon. You can go in there anytime. So do that. Also reminding you that lecture exam number 3 is this week. It's on Friday. Details are in your class program. It will be in Blackboard, open book. You'll have 60 minutes. We will not meet in this room on Friday. Instead, I'll have the exam open all day. You can do it whatever time you please, wherever you please, and that will be our class on Friday. It will cover material up through last week's work on the nervous system. And again, those details are in the class program, and I can go over it as well on Wednesday for you. So before we transition back to the gallery walk and your reflection, any questions on course logistics or anything like that? Okay, so the remainder of the class, I will put the screen back up in a second. You're going to work on a reflection. The QR code is here. You can also find a link to this. I just emailed it to the class via a Blackboard announcement. If you're on your computer, it might be easier. And it's also in your class program for Wednesday. It's a longer reflection. I estimate it will take you 15 to 20 minutes to really work through it, which is why we have the rest of the class time to do it. And because we've spent a good amount of time on this project, both in terms of the reading and preparation you did for class today and today's assignment, it's worth 6 class points. So altogether, this project is worth 12 class points, which is a pretty substantial amount considering, for example, lab is worth 20 class points. So I'm assigning a good point value to these activities. If you work through it, give it some thoughtfulness, you'll get full credit. So that's nice too. So you have the links there. Again, the links are in email and on your class program. Otherwise, I'm going to put the screen back up. I'll turn the lights on, and I just took 3 photos. I will put those together in a PDF and post those in Blackboard for you as well. If you don't finish this in class time or want to reference this later on or something like that, then you have those available. Questions, comments, concerns? All right, are we okay if I put this screen up and get rid of this QR code for the moment then? Everyone's got the link, they're good? Okay, great. And those of you viewing the video, I'm going to stop it here as well. And everyone has the rest of the time to work.